Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki. Here are the headlines we're tracking this evening. Sensex and Nifty gained for the third straight week, but the gains remain limited even as the benchmarks touch new lifetime highs. Mid-caps outperformed the blue chips, with financial stocks leading the rally. Commerce Secretary and India's Chief Trade Negotiator Rajesh Agarwal highlights two parallel negotiations underway with the United States, says he is optimistic about a framework trade deal to address the reciprocal tariff challenge by the end of 2025, says talks over a bilateral trade deal will take a lot of time, adds that a trade deal would be beneficial only if it addresses both reciprocal tariffs and the additional penalty levied on India. US President Donald Trump says the country will permanently pause immigration from so-called third world countries. Does not specify which countries will be targeted. US will also re-examine green cards issued to immigrants from 19 countries, which does not include India. Russian President Vladimir Putin will visit New Delhi next week for the India-Russia annual summit. The two-day visit comes at the invitation of Prime Minister Modi and against the backdrop of US imposing punitive tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. All right, let's start with the big headline. The second quarter growth numbers are out. India's GDP grew at 8.2% in the June quarter. This is far higher than what our poll had estimated. Lata Venkatesh here with her analysis. Lata.
Yes, it is a huge number as far as the GDP is concerned at 8.2. Our poll said 7.4. There were several polls on the street with even 7.2. So this is a very big jump compared to what the street was expecting. And I think the big jump has come in manufacturing. Manufacturing has come in at 9.1%. And our poll was not anticipating such a big rise in manufacturing. I'll just give you what our poll said on manufacturing. It said 8.9. They've come in at 9.1. But across the board, even agriculture, it says 3.5. Ours was also 3.5. The important point is the nominal GDP has come in at 8.7. Now, how is it? 8.2 is the overall growth in the GDP. To it, you add the price rise and you get the nominal GDP. Or rather, GDP for about 60% of the items is counted in today's prices. Then you reduce, deflate it by the price rise. The price rise is taken as 0.5%. Most people on the street expected it to be closer to 1%, the year-on-year rise. For you and me, the price rise may feel like being higher, but arithmetically, the WPI, the wholesale price index, has been negative in the past 3 months, that is July, August, September. That is why you calculate the nominal GDP at 8.7% according to the data, and then deflate it and you get 8.2. So only 0.5% inflation has been taken into account. So it's 8.7 nominal GDP compared to 8.8 in the first quarter. The CNBC-TV18 poll was expecting an 8% nominal GDP. In any case, I think this GDP number is way above what the street was expecting. So we should expect a fairly positive reaction on Monday from the markets as well. Manufacturing, as I told you, has come in at 9.1%, agriculture at 3.5%. The other positive numbers have also been construction at 7.2%. Gross fixed capital formation, something the market will be very happy about, has come in at 7.3% and private consumption at 7.9%. Remember, a lot of people were expecting consumption to be low in the second quarter, because the Prime Minister announced that the GST will be cut on August 15th in his Independence Day speech, and the cut became effective from September 22nd. The expectation was that people would have consumed less up until September 22nd, anticipating lower prices. But consumption coming in with a strong growth of 7.9% indicates an inherent strength in consumption. Therefore, this is, a no-holds-barred good number. Any which way you look at it, capital investment up 7.3%. As I told you, gross fixed capital formation rising by 7.3 is a damn good number. Government consumption is lower at 2.7. But anyway, that's a small part of the overall GDP. Private final consumption at 7.9 and gross fixed capital formation at 7.3 are damn good numbers. Likewise, manufacturing at 9.1 is a very good number. Construction, which is extremely employment heavy, coming in at 7.2 is also a very good number. So all told, you will have to say that these numbers are way above street expectations. You will start now seeing people upgrade their overall growth number. Already people are sitting at 7.02. That was our poll in terms of the full year GDP. Now I guess it will get upgraded to 7.2 or thereabouts. The important part is, where does this leave the Reserve Bank? If growth is as strong as 8% for the first half, remember, we got the first quarter at 7.8, second quarter 8.2. So first half growth is 8%. Do you really need a rate cut when growth is chugging along, or rather growth is, galloping at 8% would be a question. So we must watch out for reactions to the bond market, but there is no doubt that the equity markets are going to be extremely happy. It's a very, very buoyant number. That's the first impression.
All right, so the big takeaway by Lata Venkatesh. Shifting focus now, Commerce Secretary and India's Chief Trade Negotiator Rajesh Agarwal has highlighted that two parallel negotiations are underway with the United States. In a conversation with CNBC-TV18's Shireen Bhan at a FICCI event, Agarwal said that they were optimistic about a framework trade deal by 2025 end to address the reciprocal tariff challenge. However, he said that talks over a bilateral trade deal will take a lot of time. He said that a trade deal would be beneficial only if it addresses both reciprocal tariffs and the additional penalty levied on India.
The expectation was that by the end of November, by fall, we would have an inking, a signing of the India-US BTA. Where are things currently on that front, Mr. Agarwal?
There was a commitment to see that the first tranche of India-US BTA is completed by fall of this 2025. However, things have changed and moved a lot from 13th February onwards. When we got into a BTA negotiations, we were on the path to deliver a good aspirational first tranche by the fall of 2025. But in between, we have found a lot of changes in the global trade landscape. One of the key has been in the US landscape, where we came out with reciprocal tariffs, tariffs which were imposed on all the trading partners in order to see that the trade deficit with the trading partners can be evened out, and also maybe overall create a revenue stream for the government of United States. So with that new change in the overall landscape, the BTA has also gone through some articulation, some changes, wherein right now we are engaged with not only negotiating a bilateral trade agreement, which definitely with a country like United States will take a lot of time, because trade agreements are very wide-ranging agreements these days with a lot of issues, not only market access issues, which are negotiated under the umbrella. But at the same time, we are also engaged in a protracted negotiations on a framework trade deal, which will try to address the reciprocal tariff challenge that the Indian exporters today face. So these are two separate parallel negotiations going on, but one will feed into the other. What needs to come first is the framework trade deal, which is able to address the reciprocal tariffs. We have engaged on it for last few months very deeply with the US teams. And I think all I can say that we are close. We have tried to iron out most of the issues. Now it is only a matter of time when this decision has to be taken, that when the two countries have to find the right landing zone to announce the deal. So that is where we stand as of now.
It's important that you've highlighted for us that there are two parallel negotiations underway. One, of course, is for the bilateral trade agreement, and the other is to deal with the reciprocal tariffs, the framework that you spoke of. Is the hope that the framework to address the reciprocal tariffs will perhaps be done in this calendar year, sir? Is that the expectation? Is that the hope that you're working with? And have the outstanding issues, especially when it comes to market access, when it comes to the US's concerns on India buying from Russia and so on and so forth, does the US now feel that India has addressed some of those concerns that they raised?
I think our expectations, we are very optimistic and very hopeful that we should find a solution within this calendar year. But as you know, with any trade negotiations, the final deadlines cannot be, because even if there is one sticking point or one sticking issue which is in the mind of even one of the partners, the trade deal may not meet that deadline. Having said that, I think the overall position is well set to deliver it in next few weeks or months as soon as we can. But let's see, it's a call that will have to be taken at multiple levels. At the levels of negotiator, I think we are in a zone where we can say it is something that we can achieve in a very short while of time. There's not much to negotiate. There are very few issues, and that can be taken. The political call needs to be taken on some of them. And having said that, also as a country, we have always stood for our own sensitivities and our own uniqueness. So there are areas which are non-negotiables from our perspective. And that I think people, the countries which have negotiated deals with us are very clear that what are the things that India is not open to negotiate or not able to commit or bring to the table because of our unique nature of our economy, the way we are poised and the sensitivities that we do have in our economy. So those remain negotiable, whether it is any agreement, including the one with United States. Thank you.
You know, Commerce Secretary, I know that we cannot speculate beyond a point on the timing itself, but I just want to understand on the framework per se. As and when there is an understanding on both sides to go through with it, would that automatically mean that there would be a reversal of the 50% tariffs that have been imposed on India?
The assumption is that a trade deal will be beneficial for Indian exports only when there will be addressal of both 25% tariffs, not only the one which is a trade tariff which has been imposed on trade in lieu of the lack of trade deal, but also the other 25% tariff which have been imposed for some other geopolitical reasons. Until unless both are addressed together, it will not mean a meaningful deal for India. So we understand whenever the deal is finalized and signed and agreed to by the both sides, I think both these 25% will stand.
Are talks still on, sir, or have talks concluded?
The talks are still on, and it is because these are two negotiations also. There's a larger one also which is going on. So talks are on. Our teams are engaging virtually on a regular basis. There are virtual sessions every week on some issue or other. So there is an engagement.
Are you going to be visiting the US anytime soon, or are they going to be visiting us anytime soon?
Let's wait for some time. You may see the visits can happen either way. Whether we visit them or they visit us. They were in pretty lockdown for some time, 45 days or so. Now they are out of lockdown. So we expect some visits from their side also in the near future.
So on the BTA, and I don't want to make this just about the US, but one final question on this before I get the other secretaries back, and then I'll come back to you. But on the BTA, are negotiations done and negotiations still underway, even as far as the BTA is concerned? And what's the broad timeline for the BTA? Because this is separate from the BTA.
I think BTA will take some time. It's quite an expansive. BTA is like a free trade agreement, and it will take a lot of time. And especially with the change dynamics, where you have got reciprocal tariffs in the play, which are beyond the MFN tariffs that each country do have. I think we'll need to find pathway for complete elimination of reciprocal tariff in our process of doing BTA. So I think that will take a bit of time, and we'll not hurry up those. We are working on various aspects of BTA, but let the first one come first, and then we'll see what are the timelines that we put for the.
Right, shifting focus to the US president. Now, Donald Trump has said that he will permanently pause immigration from all third world countries to America. In a social media post, President Trump said the measure would help the US recover from former President Joe Biden's immigration policies. President Trump also said that he will, and I quote, deport foreign nationals that are non-compatible with Western civilization. However, he did not specify which countries will be targeted. The announcement came after an Afghan national was accused of shooting two members of the National Guard in Washington, D.C. The U.S. has already suspended all immigration requests from Afghanistan. The U.S. will also re-examine every green card issued to immigrants from 19 countries. The list of nations that the U.S. Citizen and Immigration Service has called countries of concern does not include India.
The suspect is an Afghan national flown here by the previous administration, who was such a bad administration. And I have a picture of a plane. This is what it looked like when they came in. It was total bedlam. Do you remember that period of time? Total bedlam. People crammed onto the plane. We have no greater national security priority than ensuring that we have full control over the people that enter and remain in our country. For the most part, we don't want them.
Russian President Vladimir Putin will visit New Delhi next week for the India-Russia annual summit. The two-day visit comes at the invitation of Prime Minister Modi and against the backdrop of US imposing punitive tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. All right, time for a short break. Coming up next, several car makers write to the Heavy Industries Minister, say the proposed fuel efficiency targets benefit only Maruti Suzuki. More details when we return. Welcome back. Let's talk about the day's market action. The Wall Street ended flat for the second straight day, with the Nifty holding levels above 26,200. Frontline indices closed with minor changes. Sensex, Nifty and mid-caps fell in trade, while Nifty Bank rose 15 points. For the week, market gained for the third straight week amid a range-bound trade. Broader markets outperformed the benchmarks, and this was led by the financial stocks. 30 out of 50 Nifty stocks posted gains over the week. Nifty Bank gained nearly 2%. Several car makers have written to the Heavy Industries Minister, saying the proposed fuel efficiency targets benefit only Maruti Suzuki. Industry sources have said that emission concessions, if any, should be granted to all cars and not just those with weight up to 909 kilograms. Parikshit Luthra joins us now with more. Parikshit, what are your sources telling you?
Well, this proposal for Cafe 3 norms has really divided the industry. It has become a bone of contention. Several OEMs, and these are leading OEMs, Mahindra, Tata Motors, Maruti Suzuki, MG Motor, they've all written to the Heavy Industries Minister saying that there should be a level playing field and there should be no subcategory for small vehicles when it comes to the corporate average fuel efficiency norms. They've said that creation of any subcategory of vehicles based on weight will have an adverse impact on nation's progress towards safer and cleaner cars. They said that a lot of investments have already been made towards electrification, and therefore any kind of changes which benefit one particular company will impact others. They've also said there should be no relaxation in emission norms granted to cars up to 909 kgs with an engine capacity of 1200 cc and length not extending 4,000 millimeters. This is because Maruti Suzuki has a 95% market share in cars up to 909 kgs. At the same time, they are saying that the CO2 emission concessions, if any, should be granted to all cars up to 1,170 kg, which is the industry average. They also said that granting CO2 reduction credits to ICE vehicles only based on weight without CO2 reduction measures would contradict the very intent of the corporate average fuel efficiency norms, which is to improve the efficiency of vehicles, improve the mileage, and also reduce vehicular emissions altogether. Now, the industry is also saying that the GST has set one definition of small cars, and if you put up another definition, another subcategory within CAFE norms, that will only impact the planning of the overall automotive industry. So therefore, they're asking for a level playing field.
All right. Thank you, Parikshit, for that update. Shifting focus now. The Indian Energy Exchange has alleged that Central Electricity Regulator's order mandating staggered implementation of market coupling from 2026 is tainted. In a plea to the Appellate Tribunal for Electricity, the exchange cited a SEBI report to claim that CERC officials indulged in insider trading. The tribunal has expressed concern over the allegations and will hear the case in early January before the rules are notified. Ashmit Kumar joins us now with more. Ashmit, please tell us more about IEX's plea.
Well, serious concerns being raised today before the hearing that took place in APTEL. The Indian Energy Exchange, which is directly impacted by that coupling order of July 2025, today raised concerns before the APTEL, not about the legality of that coupling decision, not about the rules and regulations and the framework in place, but rather about a SEBI report which came out in October, which is an ex parte interim order, which directly says that there was an attempt, a conspiracy that was hatched by CERC officials, whereby they would issue this order, this coupling order, which resulted in a 29% crash in the share price of IEX, and that was something which prompted insider trading, which led to these violations of the SEBI Act, of the SEBI regulations, which is a direct case of insider trading. And this, the counsels for IEX said, that is a case of the order being tainted, that the very person who's authored the coupling order is someone who's also been cited by SEBI as being part of this insider trading circle, that this is in itself is enough grounds for the APTEL to set aside this entire coupling order. For now, the APTEL not saying anything on the merits of these allegations, but nonetheless saying that these are very serious allegations and that APTEL would like to go to the bottom of these questions that have been raised. So clearly, much more ground that needs to be covered now by APTEL. The next hearing in this case, we understand, will be on January 6th.
Right. Thank you, Ashmit, for that update. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. News and updates continue right here on CNBC-TV18. Thank you for watching.